have a healthy mind, you must feed your mind with truth. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Seema Chhoriya, and I welcome you all to another insightful episode on great principles. Joining me in conversation is my very truthful, very insightful, very wise educator of the day, Professor Dr. Samuel Edwin Christopher, Principal Bishop Cotton Boys School, Bangalore. I'm very excited for this insightful conversation, and I'm sure after today's episode, my viewers, you are going to gain a lot. So, without any further delay, let us welcome Dr. Samuel on our show. Welcome to Great Principles, sir. We are very honored to have you with us.
Good evening, Seema Chhoriya. It's my pleasure to be on your platform, expressing my views and sharing my thoughts on what academics and how academician as me will be and what I am today.
So, are we, sir? So, let's unveil your journey. Let us know a little about you first. What made you choose this noble vocation, and how was your early years? So, please take us back to your once upon a time and share with us your journey and your vision for your students.
To be very truthful to my taking back to my journey as an academician, I never thought I will become a teacher. Even though my mother was a teacher, I never thought I would be an academician. My journey started way back in 1988 and 89. After I finished my graduation, I started working for corporate world. And as I started working for a corporate world in the evening, I used to do my management program. In those days, it was called as postgraduate diploma. And I was doing that called as business administration program. After a year's program, then I started off my journey in the corporate world on a full-time basis. There was one day there was a call from my friend who said, you need to help me out in helping me in assisting to come as a guest lecturer or guest lecturer or a part-time faculty to assist me in my absence because I need to fulfill my master's in philosophy theory, and I need to prepare my thesis and submit it within the deadline. And my institution is not giving me any leave. And since they are not giving me any leave, they have given me an option. If you can get me a part-time teacher who can fill in the gap when I'm not there, they'll be allowing me to do my MPhil thesis. I said, helping a friend indeed would suffice. Then I took over the mantle of his classes in the field of history as well as commerce on a part-time basis. I was just teaching for 3 hours in a week, only to supplement his absence. What started as a guest faculty pitcher made me a full-time academician in the year 1990 as the principal of that institute when we started Dr. Ambedkar Institute of Management Studies. So that was where I pitched in from my corporate world to the academic field on a full-time basis. It was a transition of just 1.5 years of my part-time teaching made me to become an academician. And from that day onwards, I have never looked back. 36 years of my journey has been in this field of academics. That's my short history of what my journey is into academics.
Sir, if I may ask you, what keeps you going in this education domain? Because not many are there who choose this by choice and continue to be in this profession.
This field is very green and it is always greenery. If you need to be successful in life, you cannot catch on to the age-old theories and keep going. You need to adopt to the circumstances of today. You need to circumvent your thoughts and ideas to the present generation. And you need to always pick up what the present generation is looking forward. And until and unless you are able to convince the present generation, an academician cannot be a successful, educationate entrepreneur in whatever he does, whether it's school or a higher institution of education or a university or a college or whatever it is. Academics remains academics, whether it is school or higher education.
Absolutely, sir. Completely agree with you. So I think if I need to sum up this, so basically you need to connect with your students. So connecting on a personal front, connecting, understanding what they need and what is required to be taught so that they can face the world is required to be done. And if you are doing that well, then you are in this field and you are going to have a glory here. Right, sir?
Exactly.
So, sir, moving ahead to my next question. Could you describe your vision you have for your students?
My only vision for my student: unearth your talents, tap your resources, find out where you are good and what are the areas you need to focus, and which are your areas that you need to excel, and which are the areas you need not concentrate on. See, for example, an individual who is good in music, if he knows that he is good at music and he can do something in music, in today's field of education, he need not study physics, chemistry, mathematics. It may not be of much help to him as a musician. He may needs to know few understandings of how music is related with physics, because it has sound, it has volume, it has various factors which is connected to every part of life. So once he knows the basics of it, he need not go deeper into the analysis of studying physics, chemistry, or maths. He has to concentrate more on his music and his lessons and go deeper into the analytical applications of how music can be applied in different aspects of life, rather studying subjects which may not be related to his career path and of his interest. Today, what we are doing is we are dumping children with certain subjects very familiar, and throughout the state or throughout the world, that curriculum is fixed. Whether you like it or not, he needs to study up to a certain level of his education. Only then he decides whether he requires that or not. Whereas, if we try to bring in his interest at the very lower grade of his education itself, probably at third grade or fourth grade of his education, things would move much faster in making that student more exemplary in the field chosen, rather than making him exemplary after a few years of time because he has been studying the other basic subjects which may not be really helpful to him at that point of time. So we need to have a focused vision and a focused study, for which we require something called as choose and pick your curriculum of your interest. Probably today's NEP is on the same lines. We need to look forward how it works in the future days once it is implemented in full-fledged throughout the country.
Absolutely, sir. You have given us a food for thought. I always wondered, and even if you talk about today's generation, they're very vocal, they know what they want, and they ask these questions. Why do I need to study this subject? As you rightly said, study till the basics and then focus on what you like, focus on what you want to achieve. I don't know whether practically you are an expert in this field, that how it would be, if it is possible, can we do this, and how practical it would be that, educate the children in the subjects only for the basics level and then let them specialize in their area. So, sir, how it would all work in the school environment? Is it possible?
It is definitely possible, but we need to come out on the think out of the box. Today, what we are looking at is, as an academician, as a principal, okay, we are affiliated to certain one council, we are affiliated to one affiliating body, and they say that these are the things that we need to do, and we just follow on a rota basis, even without thinking whether this helps the student or not. We are not given that liberation to go ahead and think out of the box that if we do this, what happens? Nothing is going to happen. It is only going to only help the students who are into that part of the curriculum. But here the challenge is, who is going to take the risk of applying these into your school? And if you apply, if the public is not taking that in the right perspective, then you're at loss with admissions. If you're lost at admissions, then your financials are taking a setback. If your financials are taking a setback, definitely the management would question what is that you're doing when all other schools are following on one path. Why is that you are following a different path? So this different path has a risk. So who is going to take this risk and to move forward? Probably today, the Department of Education, NCERT, the NEP is one channel that is giving us the path where we can diversify according to the needs of the child. And probably this would become a success in the future days to come, because the mindset of the public or the parents need to change in their perspective levels. Every child, every parent wants every child to become a doctor, but nobody thinks if there are no patients, then what is the use of a doctor? So somebody should also become a patient as well. But that doesn't mean that everybody should not study and only become patients so that we feed the doctors. It's not that way. We need everybody in the society to balance. We need an ecological system to balance. So every profession has its own importance. Every profession is equally important, and every individual has its own profession and talent that we need to tap at. And that is where we need to inculcate in the young age, in the young mind, that what are you interested in? Put forth your efforts in order to focus so that you excel in life. That is very important.
Certainly. So, to all my dear viewers, Dr. Christopher has given us a very important tip of life that, ensure that you are making the child exposed to various career options available at an early stage and let that child focus. And he has also brought out a very valid point that, yes, we all talk about much needed changes in education, but who is going to do that? Change will come only when we all collectively be a part of it. Parents need to accept, as Sir rightly said, whatever the changes school will take up. And we all need to look into the common benefit of what exactly is the aim of education. Is it about the degrees, or is it about the mark sheet, or is it about what my child will do when he is facing the real world? So, let's face the challenges today. We have already seen the 2 years that degrees is not what going to decide what our children would be. It is what skill set that person has. And Sir has very beautifully put forth, focus on building the skills of the child in what he is good, analyze that and let him to go ahead. We all collectively together can bring this change. And yes, government has already taken a step. NEP is the much needed step in this direction, and I'm very positive that a big wave is coming soon in the education industry in India also. And soon or later we are going to see all the changes that we are talking about. So moving ahead, sir, I was just talking about the degrees. So, is the degree that makes you a learned person or not? This needs to be addressed and corrected. Degrees is certainly not something which will make you a learned person. There is a wide gap between being learned and being literate. So, sir, how do we fill this great divide between being learned and being literate? How do we educate people about this?
I always believe degree is just a passport, while a visa is nothing but an individual's personality. See, if you are an Indian citizen and if you fulfill certain criteria without any criminal background or any police records to say that you are bad, the moment you apply with all your records there in place, according to the requirement, you are given a passport. A passport is a valid document that you belong to this country and you are an Indian and you reside in this place. You are born on this date and your parents are so and so, and this is your credentials. However, keeping this passport, what one utilizes and moves further depends on his personality. Every Indian without any bad records will get the passports. So every child getting into the system of education will get the certificate of pass, irrespective of what percentage and where he stands. But how many of these coming out as successfully passed are going to get a job, are going to become an entrepreneur, are going to lead a comfortable life, are going to take the challenges of life and then face it further? It is hardly 10 to 20%. The remaining 60 to 70% still struggle with all their degrees in life. It's only because their personality do not synchronize with the degree that they have obtained. They have a passport, but they are not able to get the visa. It's only because of the difference that they have within the passport and the visa they are trying for. A visa is a career path. They are looking at that, aiming at that. They have a passport, but unfortunately They are not marking a difference with other competitors when they go in to pitch in that they are a better employee than the other 100 who has applied for. Why? It is because of their personality, because of their traits, because of their attitude, and because of their thinking and thoughts, which do not match to the requirement of the skills that is required for that visa to be got. So they fail. So once we don't get a visa, then we try doing something else for our livelihood. And as we do for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years, we still continue to do it even though it is not our cup of tea, for the simple reason that we need to lead a life. And that is what is happening among 70% of the youngsters today. They do something, they land up somewhere, they get into a job, they continue for their livelihood, and by the time they are 28 and 29, from the Indian custom point of view, they get married, they have children, and their responsibilities make them to continue in the same channel rather than looking at what best I can do for my future with my passion. That's hardly there's any difference felt there, and therefore they continue in the job that they do, even though it may not be their cup of tea. It's only for the survival, and survival of the fittest is the concept and theory today that most of us follow.
So, sir, what advice you would like to give parents about not pressurizing their children on mark sheets, on obtaining certain percentage?
I always tell parents, leave the child independently to study. Do not pamper the child too much. Do not ask for reduced syllabus. Do not ask for this and that to be given. Do not dictate terms to the school. Do not give your preferential credentials to the school and ask the school to follow for your own kid because your kid requires that. Leave the school to do what they would like to do. All schools will always do only in the interest of the child that they have with them because it's their responsibility. And no school will leave any stone unturned which may affect the child's growth and the credentials of the child in a given period of time. No school will do that, and no responsible academician will do that. Therefore, the school is responsible, the academicians are responsible, the teachers are responsible. Give them that free and a fair, meaningful hand and see how they perform. And then you can feel the performance within your child's own deeds and actions. When you see that, you will feel happy for the child. If today I'm sitting in this chair, it is only because of my teachers who have mentored me, who have not taught me, who have counseled me, who have given me guidance how to make a living rather than giving me a living. You know, getting a job is very easy, but how to take up a job, if you teach them how to fish, that is always better rather than giving him a fish to eat. It will only suffice for that particular meal. But if you teach him how to fish, he will fish for his entire life and he will remember. So I remember my teachers, my mentors, my counselors who were there as a part of my growth. And today I'm here. It's because of their commitment and sincerity that they gave me what they had. And I have learned from them today. I acknowledge that.
Absolutely, sir. I think a very practical advice you have given here because, yes, I also remember when I was a student, what kind of atmosphere I was brought up in, and what kind of respect I had for my teachers, what kind of respect we had in my family. When my parents said, whatever school has given, you have to follow that, no excuses. And thing is that today we entertain all kind of excuses from our children. So that needs to be stopped. As you rightly said, no more pampering. Let every institute do their job. Yes, you need to be involved, but to an extent where you can give freedom to the teachers also. So, dear parents, I hope you would follow this very practical advice because both school and we as parents want the best for our children. So, let us do our part and focus on getting out that wonderful, unique best of the child. So, now, sir, we have reached to the very interesting segment of the show, which is called Rapid Fire Round. Sir, you need to answer me in one word or a single statement.
Okay.
What are your hobbies? What do you do when you're not working?
Study scriptures and focus on the reality of life.
An activity you took up during COVID and you think that you must have taken it long back.
Routine things I have been doing. I don't find anything unusual that I have taken up during pandemic.
An educationist you look upon for inspiration, advice, and support.
From
An educationist you look upon for inspiration, advice, and support.
certainly yes, from every child and from every aspect of life, whether they are big or small, or whatever they are in their life and in their career, there might be a very small advice from a security guard, which may be a big impact on the system when we look at the traffic management in the mornings and the evenings between school hours. Probably we need to look at that.
If you were given an opportunity to be an education minister for a day and change one thing about our education system, what would be that thing?
An open examination system where a student would come to the examination hall with whatever resources he finds suitable and appear for the examination in the regular system of 3 years or 3 hours or 2.5 hours or 2 hours, and to credibly go out facing whether he could do it or not. He is
Wow.
responsible for it.
Wow. This change would certainly make every child smile, because we always talk about that every child learn at their pace, work at their pace, then why not take examination at their pace also? So, a beautiful thought. Moving ahead to my next question. What is more important? A routine for where a child is following discipline or where a child is finding his own way?
A routine discipline with a positive attitude is very important.
Absolutely. Coming up to my next question. What should be ideal school hours?
5 to 6 hours.
My last question to you in this segment. If you get Aladdin's Chirag and you are given three wishes for yourself, what would you wish for?
To have patience, still more committed, and be sincere to the core.
Beautiful. So we truly have a teacher at heart with us, sharing all the thoughts for their children, who looks for the betterment of this institute and for the children, and who look forward for the support of each one in the community to build a better future for our children. So thank you so much, sir, for your time with us. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. You have a lot to share, and there is so much more to learn from you, which is not enough in this small duration. Certainly, I would look upon to have you again on my show and interact with you on more such topics. Thank you so much for your time with us, sir.
Thank you, Seema. Same with me. It was very interesting and quite good deliberations that we had. Very insightful questions for which provoked my thoughts and ideas. I hope this would have sufficed the requirements not only of the viewers but as well to me as a listener. I would probably cherish the amount spent on this platform today.